music will give you right on time, man. Right on time. Good morning. Good morning. You hear the sound of my voice? It must be a good morning wherever you are located. Listen, the weather is beautiful here in Florida, so I decided I was going to take in some of this cold weather we have. It's a blustery, 67 degrees, I think. But I'm sitting here on my patio, figured I'd get outside, get some fresh air, and just happy to be here this morning, able to engage in some great conversation. And to do so, I can't do it by myself. I'd like to welcome to the microphone our co-host, Professor Tony Cecil. Good morning, Professor. How are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing well. I'm like most Republicans, I'm just trying to make my way through this right now, trying to look at, what I can, what are the positives, but I'm good though. Like you said, the alternative to not being here with you is I may be somewhere else.
Right. Well, you exactly. You listen. I have a client. He's about the early '90s, but I saw him out in front of his business blowing leaves, and so I stopped and said, "Hey, you get lawn care service people. You shouldn't be out here blowing leaves." And he said, "Well, if I sit still too long, somebody will start to throw dirt on me. So I got to keep moving. I got to keep moving." But you're right. It is beautiful to be here. We can lament all the time, sometimes, Professor, all the issues we have in our lives, all the things to complain about. But really, life is good. It's with all the troubles that we have personally, professionally, economically. We're here, and we should celebrate that. So you're right about that this morning. You could be somewhere else that's much worse, but we are here, and as always, I'm excited to our time that we get to spend together and talk about things that happened during the week. I think we've been off for 2 weeks. Want to hope everybody had a great and fabulous Thanksgiving. I understand from our back in the studio that there are some technical issues, so you may not be able to get the video. But listen, you don't need the video where you can hear me rumble and grumble for a solid hour. You don't need the video. Trust me, the audio will get you through, and we'll have that corrected next week, though. And so, Professor, you must be getting close to wrapping up the semester of classes. It's about wrapped up?
Yeah. Well, we have another week and a half.
Okay.
But yeah, we're basically done. Running the curve, getting those grades in. And really what we do at this time of the year is we know how enthused students are. So I've gotten a number of emails from students. So, hey, I got you for next semester. So, and that, it's job security for us. The more students, I'm an adjunct. So the more students I have that I know I have means I have classes next semester. So,
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, so from a political standpoint, you would feel like oftentimes when there's a presidential election, that there's a drop off afterwards in what's happening in politics. But this year the election, it's the kind of thing that keeps on giving. I mean, it gives and so we're going to get into January because to lay the situation out, you've got Joe Biden in office. He's Democrat. You've got a small majority in the House of Representatives with Nancy Pelosi holding on to her leadership status.
Right.
And then we have in the Senate, it is currently right now, Republicans 50, Democrats 48, with 2 races left to be decided. Those races happen to be in Georgia. There's a runoff in January. And so we're right now barreling towards a decision whether or not the entire country, based on what happens in Georgia, will we have a unified government, meaning House of Representatives, Senate, and President being controlled by one party, or will we continue to have divided government with I think a safe, if we get 48 Republican senators, that's a pretty safe control of the Senate. Because I think you have maybe 1 or 2 senators that'll shift and move around sometimes. So we still have this election to work itself out. So how are Republicans feeling right now about this runoff in Georgia?
Well, Republicans feel like this is more than about just a runoff of the senators. Now, certainly, I think President Trump going there in the rally, I think he's doing that this show. He's trying to be the bigger person. So,
Whoa, wait a minute. You said Trump be a bigger
Yes,
person.
yes. He's trying to show I'm still fighting for the Republican Party because no one is confused. Certainly, Democrats don't want to give us the benefit of the doubt, but you've already mentioned it. You said that although you have a majority in the House, it's much slimmer. It's much
Yes,
slimmer than you forecasted. You said there were 27 toss-up seats. You
yes.
didn't get any of those toss-up seats. You
No,
lost what, 11 or 12 seats. So
12,
that
lost
was
12.
solely because of Trump. And so then when we shift over to the Senate, if I'm not mistaken, I think we only lost one. I don't even think we may have lost one Senate seat, us as in Republicans. But so before that, and that's still because of Trump. So the chambers are definitely because of Trump. And I believe him going there definitely tells us if we can split the two, certainly it's a good day for us. Um, I think there's a good chance that Republicans hold or keep both. And the reason being is because now there's such Georgia's now on the stage. All eyes are on Georgia, not because they have this race, but Georgia's also been implicated in a number of voting irregularities. Um, the video that just surfaced, and they keep playing that. And I say that not because I'm a conspiracy theorist. I think we both agreed that there have been dead people voting, and some
No, we
things.
don't agree. I don't agree. I do not agree to that. Dead people voting.
What you
I
you
don't
don't
write
think dead
that.
people vote?
No, they don't vote. People vote who didn't die. And I'll tell you specifically, we had that about a year or two ago with the gentleman in my office, Republican.
Uh-huh.
His dad voted, early absentee, and then he passed away before the election.
Mm.
So in theory, he was dead when the election happened, but he had already done by mail voting.
Well, God bless you, counselor, that you don't think people will use someone that's named because they were doing that with 9/11. I mean, people died, but people trying to get their benefits. So, but God bless you. You don't think people have that strand in them.
Well, let me say this though. I don't live in the fringe of society. There's all kind of stuff over there happening that, listen, I don't even put that in the factor of how I look at, life, because we have to trust in people. When we think of things in our society, let's say I'm a lawyer, let's take a jury. We have to trust that the jury is objectively listening to the information. Now, am I naive to think that people don't have biases and prejudices, agendas and motives unconnected to the facts? They do, but I can't talk to it because I can't deal with that because that's not the majority controlling factor of the system. But let's get back to something you said that I think requires a little more analysis. I don't know that there was an increase in the House for Republicans because of Trump. I think that increase was because there are people that did not want to vote for Biden, and they were already voting against Trump for president. So you had people go in vote, I'm going to put me in a Republican representative, but I'm taking away this Republican president. And that's why I think you have the more votes for Republicans who got elected, less votes for Trump getting into.
Well, that's certainly how Democrats are spinning it. But I think it defies what typically happens. You don't really vote blue up ballot and red down ballot. That's not how it goes. Now,
okay. Well, I'm gonna ask you a question. There's a theory in politics, and everybody says politics start local.
Okay.
And people locally, now Trump is a phenomenon because Trump is more of a celebrity person. Like I really liked Bill Clinton. I wasn't buying a bunch of shirts and hats and losing friends over him. And Obama, I really liked Obama. Trump's voters or supporters are different than your typical political supporter. They're very, very different. I think the votes that he lost, they were the independents. They were the swing voters in the middle. I think he got his Republicans. He got those people. But it was that swing group that he kind of lost who still said, hey, look, I like my Republican, House of Representatives. So I'm going to vote for this person. But this guy, some of the stuff he's doing, it's just too far. It's too far out there.
Well, see,
so when you say that
we're talking about,
he got the more people voted to Congress, I don't think he did. I thought those were people that were would have
Again,
voted.
all Democrats say that, especially the leadership. All say, no, it's not because of Trump, blah, blah, blah. But you said California. We're talking about California.
Yeah.
There were a number of incumbent Democrats that lost their seats. So they didn't say, I want to keep my Republican.
No, listen, in a liberal bastion like South Florida, you had that happen with Donna Shalala.
But we're talking about California. You just said California.
I know, I'm just saying the idea that it happened in one area. I'm saying, no, there are a lot of areas where it was almost a lock that the Democrat was going to win, and they didn't. And they didn't win because of Donald Trump. They won because of, I think, other reasons, because it's clear to me there were people that decided Donald Trump's not going to be we don't want him as president. Not this kind of,
well, again, there is the party division, because now let's go back. You mentioned Obama. I'm glad you brought him up. And I know you know this. Obama lost nearly 10 million votes. Let's just say it this way. He received 10 million votes less in 2012 than he did in 2008. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's a fact, right?
But that's consistent with second-term elections. That goes all the way back to Reagan.
Exactly. So I'm glad you said that. And I'm not trying to set traps. So historically, what also happens when an incumbent president gains votes, you just said what typically happens. Because he didn't gain 500 votes. He didn't gain 500,000 votes. Trump garnered 10 million more votes, an incumbent president. And by your rationale and by your statement, that's what typically happens. The incumbent wins. So now you're trying to tell me.
Wait now. Winning is not the same as increasing the votes. They usually win, but they usually win because pretty much you don't have a top-notch candidate on the other side. I mean,
But we have a top-notch candidate here. You're not trying to tell me Joe Biden's a top-notch candidate. Are you saying that?
I think in the world of what the Democrats have to offer, he probably, is that
our party divisions are very much on display. But go ahead.
I think so. There's nothing Biden. I don't have. He has the experience. He has the knowledge. He has all the things that you could say. Okay, there's no reason he wouldn't be a solid president. Now, I don't know if he's going to be a distinguished president. We'll have to see. But there's nothing that going into it that you thought, wait a minute, this guy's going to be really handicapped in comparison to Donald Trump. There was a real concern. Here's a guy who'd never been in office. He'd never been elected. And buddy, you're starting at the top. I spent a little bit of time in government working for the city. It takes a long time getting the understanding for how these institutions maneuver and operate to even be effective. So there's no reason I wouldn't think Joe Biden coming as a former vice president, a former senator. He spent a long time in politics, maybe too long for some people, that he needs more time.
Okay.
He may, the only thing he doesn't have is like owning business experience, where he's owned the business, might give him a little bit more oomph, but he's got everything else, to make him qualified as a president. So, but normally you don't have a strong candidate in a midterm. On a second term for a president like this. So, but I don't know that people turned out. But here's what I do know this. I think the Republicans reported they had 2.5 million volunteers, even during COVID, on the streets, getting people out to vote, registering people. Hey, I got a call. I got a Republican call, which was shocking to me. And they actually talked to me. It's kind of shocking. Now, they may not like what they heard, but they actually called me. So they were really working. So the idea that more people got out, and he was so polarizing, I'm not surprised by that piece, that more people voted across the board. When you think about some place like in the Atlanta area, I think they've got close to almost 1 million additional registered voters that they were able to get out and, get to the polls. And also this mail-in system may have made some people, it was easier to target people who had not voted. Because of the way the system was run. So he getting more votes, I think is a good thing.
And so one last thing, since you just mentioned mail-in voting, that was, on people on my side of the house, that was the insurance policy equivalent to the spying on Trump in 2016. If you remember,
what are you talking about?
If you remember, the leadership in the Democrat Party were adamant the president should not declare victory. It's going to be more than a day. It's going to take time. I mean, they foretold that. And you know why it was easy for them to do that? Because they knew that they were putting in something that you couldn't corral, mail-in voting, and they started so early. And as you know, they got so many votes. And so now when we hear about suitcases being brought, from under tables.
Time out. Hold on. So they played and have available the entire video. That's not what happened. Now, if you look at the one,
I saw it.
Yeah, well, they've gone back and they were talking about it last night. They've gone through the entire video, and what they said is that it's consistent. The Republican observers, that is consistent with the way that it's handled. So,
well, what's consistent? That they pull suitcases from under the tables?
They're not suitcases, but that's where evidently that's their process. They leave them there throughout the whole process. So that's not unusual, and that's coming from the Republicans who've now spoken about this.
Wait a minute. It's that one Republican. Last name start with an S?
Yeah.
It's the one Republican that said it. But anyway, the video came from a security firm. Contrary to how people wanted.
So the election officials have gone. They did go back and look at the whole video because they only show you that one part. But again, right. We'll leave that where it is. But okay. You're making a point.
Okay. I didn't know where I was going with it, but still, the mail-in ballots were the 2020 insurance policy because there was something that they couldn't control, and they did it under the guise of COVID. You guys don't want to get this vid, is now what we're calling it, the vid. So they got this process in place. First time they've done it, and they do it in an election with, a different type of candidate, incumbent, but they wanted to get rid of them so bad. And now it's really... And it's masterful. I'm not one of those bitter Republicans that's like, we need to have a revolution. I'm not that guy. And I don't suggest we go that route. But to my side of the house, it's clear that it was a coordinated effort in that we're going to get this guy out one way or another, but this is our prime chance. That's why those never Trumpers, they never went away. They just had to find a way to coexist with this president through his first term. But once it became clear that he was going to have an uphill battle, then they started congratulating Joe Biden. Then it was like, okay, we can start to, be a politician again. But before then, the day after the election, they were all like, what's going on with the count? We've never had this before. And because you're quite the historian. Donald Trump said something that was pretty significant in his I don't know what it was, whatever, some interview. Never have we had election days and election weeks. This is the first time that it's taken this long. I mean,
that is not correct.
We've had election weeks. No. It's different. I'm not saying we know that they've been counting even with the Chad count, and that had to go to the court, go to the Supreme Court. That we're not saying that, but what we're saying is for the number of states to have issues, and they all center around the mail-in ballots. If this were the average in the regular election day, we still have some states here and there that didn't have a full count and may have some irregularities, but not to the extent that we have in 2020. And it's not because of, they're making it because of COVID, but because they wanted this president out. And now it's a matter of...
You know what? I can understand that in some... Democratic states accepting that theory and that approach. But I've never thought of Kemp as a never Trumper.
Well, he's not a never Trumper, but you don't have to be a never Trumper to benefit from a system.
Because this guy he's about to have to leave the country. We know he's going to have to leave Georgia. When he's out of office, Kemp he may be forced out of the country because he met his duty and certified to vote in Georgia. He didn't interfere. So there are a lot of these people. These people are not having a cakewalk. They're not being celebrated anywhere. Folks in Arizona and some of these other places who had to you had to come through and certify these votes, who Republicans, they're being vilified.
No different than the media does Republicans. And any other day, we're not talking about the election. No different than they vilify. No different than their hounds, the Black Lives Matter activists.
Get that
How
point.
they
What
get
I'm
up and
saying though to you is, if I'm Kemp, there is no upside to me colluding to get rid of Donald Trump.
There certainly is an upside. If he benefited from a corrupt system,
but what is his benefit? He's governor.
I don't know what it is.
He gets great support. He would have had a great. Pretty much, he's done in Georgia. Right now, Georgia is Stacey Abrams to just pick up whenever she wants to.
Exactly. That's why he had to play. You trying to tell me the force that Stacey Abrams presents, she has become now something to reckon with. You're trying to tell me?
No, she was already. Listen, this is
when did she concede anyway?
I tell you what. Listen, that's irrelevant to what she concedes or not. But let me say this: this dude Kemp was in charge of the election. He scrubbed the voting rolls, 1 million+ votes. I got rid of them before the election and put himself in office. You expect me to think this guy is the most objective judgment person, and he's got great support from Donald Trump. There's no benefit to him in not making sure Donald Trump stays in office. So the fact that he would go along, to me, he's probably the best example, and I would think to most rational Republicans, that you know what, maybe there are 10,000 votes here that didn't go the right way. But there's no way this guy would go along with any kind of shenanigans in Georgia.
Well, if you're examining, we think it's higher than that. But if it's 10,000 votes, Joe Biden leads by 12.
Well, I mean, right. So now, my thoughts on this, though. Am I feeling a lot of division in the Republican Party? Am I reading that correctly?
I wouldn't say that. The Republican Party wanted to get rid of Donald Trump. As a party, they wanted to get rid of Trump. I mean, because they were being.
Why would they? I don't understand that. I thought, in my mind, Donald Trump has been good for the Republican Party. He brought in. Let me say. So he brought an immense number of new people that Republicans could not reach. Somehow, he found a place for these far right winger nut jobs that were lost somewhere deep in a trailer park who had never voted, and they're raising hogs, and they're
equivalent to Antifa and BLM activists. Go ahead.
He's done all kind of things military. Mm-hmm. You know, he's strong on the border. Internationally, he's yelling at the UN, "You guys got to pay your fair share." He's cutting regulations, raising unemployment income.
Stuff that regular Republicans didn't do with the UN, but go ahead.
Yeah, but you're right. I'm saying you're right, but he did it though, and they're benefiting. They're huge benefits. He's getting rid of the liberal slant in the judiciary, appointing tons and tons of conservative judges.
Amen. Keep going.
The only thing I would say that he may be disrupting is the natural flow of evolution of new leadership, and he's making himself a little money. But hey, you know, all those politicians in Washington skim a little bit to themselves. So I'm just kind of lost at why he's not good for the party. The party.
Well, because you just said it. You just said he's not good for establishment politics. He's absolutely not good. He's good for the base. He increased the number of voters. So you guys, and your hate and your disdain for Donald Trump has made him the most popular Republican president. And when he's out of office, no matter when that is, he becomes the most influential. So you're trying to tell me this guy who's increased the voter base, who's done things that the establishment could not do in 20, 30 years. You're trying to tell me that guy is somehow, why do you guys not like him? He's not good for establishment politics. He's an outsider. And when he goes outside, the Republican Party will lose because they don't have a Donald J. Trump.
So and I'm trying to think, because I mean, this takes a lot of gymnastics. I'm trying to get my backflip and my twist. That somehow we almost have Republicans colluding with Democrats to get rid of Donald Trump.
Yes.
So if that's true, then how does that bode for the future of the Republican Party if the electorate looks at it that way? How are they going to win this thing in January in Georgia? If those people, and I was watching the news the other night, of course, CNN is going to give you a slanted view, but they were interviewing people, and there were a number of people saying, look, I don't trust this system. I'm not voting. I mean, they stole it. and they're blaming the Republican Party, like you, for not fighting hard enough for Donald Trump. So how do we pull off this? Republicans pull off this election on the 5th.
Here's the thing. That's why Donald Trump's there. I think he's showing himself, I'll do this for somebody else. Even in the event I lose, I'm going to go down with a fight. That's why people are endeared. I said this from the beginning. As an African American, I've been targeted. I've been lied on. I've had to defend myself in places where I'm the only African American. And then they create me to be this monster because I have a little size on me. So I understand the Donald J. Trump's fight from the beginning. You lied on me. You don't even want to give me the benefit of winning, and you keep attacking my legitimacy. And then you wonder why voters are tired of that one who says everything. They're tired of that establishment politician who every 4 years says everything great, but then they get away from those promises. Donald Trump has kept nearly every promise he made on the campaign trail, and the ones that he didn't keep is because it was obvious that they were fighting him on it. Different than establishment politicians. They give you some song and dance and they go along with it. Donald Trump wasn't smart enough, however you want to characterize him, he stuck to what he said running. And then, so you can't wonder why people like this guy. He is a true fighter.
Look, the only problem with that was the stuff he said he was going to do was so crazy. Even when he got in office and tried to do it, it just looked crazier. It just went further. Well, and that's unfortunate, but that is what it is. I agree. I'm just surprised because I don't think Donald Trump is the kind of guy that goes anywhere. I don't think, and the fact that I'm going to be very interested to see what he says down here in Georgia today, because my thoughts are going to be, I expect he's got to come in and defend this election, which puts people off, and then somehow say the election process is untrustworthy. You can't trust it, and I'm fighting it. But I want you all to go out and vote again.
You have to do it. And just like not every vaccination you should take because someone says it, but you have to have some vaccines. Certain things have to be done, so you have to go with the process, even if it's flawed. But you have to fix it. You can't stay out of the system and voting and expect voting to fix itself. So you have your duty to do it. That's what he's saying. But you're right. He's coming in hot, as they say. You can believe that.
Exactly. No. But listen, man, I got to apologize to you, and I apologize to our listeners. I did not intend for us to drift into so much Donald Trump because there's so much more. But he's, like I said, he's a gift that just keeps on giving. And there's so many things to talk about. I mean, on my list, Professor, I've got, your division, the Republican Party. I think it's going to split into three. I think you're going to have your traditional conservatives. I think you're going to have the never Trumpers, and then you're going to have the Trumpers. And somehow that's got to figure itself out to coexist. And I don't think it can do it in a couple of weeks. And so I think that puts you all at a very big disadvantage going into this election in Georgia as it stands so far. And somehow, because and who do you roll out? The only person that looks like they could be a unifier is Trump, but Trump's not a unifier. He, in no way, like for example, he's going to continue to hammer Kemp and all the other Republicans in Georgia, and he's going to put off some voters.
He's only going to put off Democrat and Mark. That's the difference between a politician and somebody who actually believes in what they're saying. A politician is going to split the difference and then say something that, and people go, he has no balls.
You got to believe that there are people in Georgia who support Kemp, don't like the idea that he's been, Republicans that don't like the idea that Trump is hammering him. But let's hold that thought, Professor. We've been told by the studio we need to take a quick break, pay some bills. You're listening to In Touch News Radio, reality radio where everybody can be a star. This is Straight Up the Middle. We'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break, pay some bills, and we'll be right back after this quick break.
Purpose.
I know you're gonna dig this.
With Keith Harris and attorney Monica Harris is every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. What's your purpose? In Touch Radio.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all gotta see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan. We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
How to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
The most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
We're playing your favorite old school. Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
All right, we're back live on In Touch News Radio, reality radio, where everybody can be a star. My name is Attorney Clinton Paris. I'm one of the co-hosts of Straight Up the Middle. My other co-host is Professor Anthony Seabrook. We're here live on In Touch News Radio. And before I go any further, I know you all, we get on this thing, and Professor and I, we get to rambling about things that we want to talk about, the things that we like. Sometimes I forget to remind everybody, this is a call-in show. You are allowed, permitted, and desired to call in and join the conversation if you would like to. Otherwise, you're welcome to also step back and listen, though. And let me give you the call-in information. So to call in, the number is 929-205-6099. That is specific to Straight Up the Middle. Let me give you that number again, 929-205-6099. Now, when you call in the number, you may be asked for an ID number. Let me give you that number as well, because we're on Zoom. That call-in number, ID number is 834-088-74026. Again, that's 834-088-74026. So if you'd like to join the conversation, and I know sometimes you can think it may be intimidating to get on the air and call, and people are hearing your voice. Really, we don't know who you are. We don't know where you live. Nobody's going to drive by your job. You can get on the air and really express the opinions that you have. We just ask that you be polite and cordial to not only to myself, but the other guests and the host of the show. Also want to remind everybody, if this is the only thing that you listen to in In Touch News, you're missing a lot of information. In Touch News is a full suite of entertainment. There's Facebook, there's In Touch News YouTube, and throughout the week, broadcast on intouchnews.com, you can log in and listen to smooth jazz, gospel, and all types of talk shows and self-improvement focused on the African-American community. I believe that media is the most important modicum for sharing information. This is some undiluted stuff you get. We have no directions or no controls on us, what we get to say on our show and all the shows on In Touch News. And in particular, I would welcome you all to stick around after our show and check out The Sole Purpose, hosted by Keith and Monica Harris. Very, very powerful couple, talking about issues of importance to you. A lot of things focused on mental health and self-improvement, relationships, things of that nature. Hey, we can all use some of that. So stick around after the show, if you would, and catch The Sole Purpose. Comes on 11 a.m. every Saturday morning, and that is hosted by Keith and Monica Harris. So, Professor, I apologize. I mean, I got tangled up with just so much of that Joe Biden, Donald Trump stuff. There are other things on the thing that we should be talking about. And let's just to break up the politics for a minute, if we could, let's briefly touch on the economy. And I know that's a sweet spot for you. You track the things. How is the Biden economy coming along so far from your perspective?
How's the Biden economy?
He's president-elect.
Stock market going up. that, you know, you guys like to say Trump is benefiting from Obama's economy, but you tend to flip that now. You want to go the other way. Now we're somehow benefiting from a guy.
I'm getting tongue in cheek, but the reality of it is, everything now. The economy is all about the future. He's the guy in office now. He's the guy that's been elected.
The guy's not in office. There's no such thing as an office president-elect. That was made up by the media to.
I saw the show. I saw that.
Huh?
What are your thought economy? How's it going? Where are we going? How things holding up?
Well, the economy is not what we thought it was. I mean, the numbers are good. Unemployment is down to 6.7%. Yay. I said that before. And so there's a number of reasons why Trump shouldn't have lost. I said it before, and I'm not an economist. If he gets this unemployment rate down to single digits, he stands a really good chance. We know that the 2 vaccines came out. That's really, I think, what boosted the economy when those were announced shortly after the election. But I looked at some numbers, and first of all, last month's numbers were actually upgraded. I think they went from 305,000 jobs. So
they were upgraded. You're correct.
Right. So he's done really well, and I'm hoping the same thing happens here. But the participation rate, from my understanding, has dropped only really like 0.2%. So from 61.5 or from 61.7 down to 61.5. Here is why I think it's not so much comical, but you have a president-elect, Joe Biden, who is really hinting and winking about a lockdown. He's just not using the term. He's just not using the term because why else would other people? Why else are people worried?
He can't lock down anything.
We know he can't.
So why would
he uses the media has always been in the Democrats'
The other day, Professor, they asked him, "Are you going to issue a mask mandate?" And he said, "No, I'm going to ask people for 100 days to wear a mask."
You always say people listen to the president. That's why the guy drunk the bleaching. All right, so people listen to the president-elect, and when he comes around and he says stuff like, "Yeah, no, I'm not gonna make you do it but I'm gonna ask you to do it for 100 days." 100 days. Guess what else comes with that? We've been through. What are we in? It's December. We've gone through the whole 2020.
You hear that? You know what's funny is because I watch and listen to a lot of conservative media. I think it's great entertainment. You listen, I'm an original Rush Limbaugh guy from like 1985, 84.
And I've never been a Rush guy, but go ahead.
I listen to a lot of conservative stuff, and the only place I hear that is there.
You just said they asked him. Who interviewed him when he asked the question?
Jake Tapper on CNN. They asked him about it, and he said, no. He goes, listen. First, he said, I can't make you wear a mask. I'm going to ask you. Leadership is not about what you force people. That's not leadership. That's control. That's fascism. That's
you know what Joe Biden just did? He did what all politicians do. Oh, I'm not going to I'm going to get this idea out. It's just not.
But let me say this though. Even if he said I am mandating everybody wear a mask, he can't.
But here's the thing: we all know that. No one is saying that he can do that. But he is pushing that, just like you said. Trump pushes things when he says it.
He's pushing. Here's the beautiful thing he's pushing. He's pushing personal responsibility. He's asking
That's why he didn't get those votes. He's pushing personal responsibility. He's not pushing personal responsibility.
Yeah, here's what he's saying. Because the experts say the thing that's even more powerful than the vaccine is mask, social distance.
The experts also said you didn't need masks.
At one point in time, and they've upgraded that. Now they're suggesting even in your household you might, but that change. I get it. This is new. This is not something we've done before.
There's nothing new about masks. There's nothing new about people changing their opinion.
No. It's about the understanding how the disease works. They've learned more about the disease. They've learned more about transmitting it. They've learned more about treating it. Those kind of things. And so some of the experts, they've changed. Hey, that we can do this now. So he's saying, listen, let's try everybody do all you can. I'm going to go for this 100-day wear a mask. And if we get more people to wear a mask, I don't know that it hurts anybody, but I don't think that there's not going to be a shutdown. He's not saying he's going to shut things down. That's not going to happen. But the only place you'll get that is if you listen to Drudge or you can find some of these other, conservative, conspiracy buttles. But on the liberal media, you're not hearing that on MSNBC. You're not hearing that on CNN.
Well, MSNBC has the audience of us. We have probably just as many people as MSNBC, so who cares what they say? So I'm not
worried about Joe Biden doing a lockdown. That's not coming.
I just think people are smarter than Democrats think they are. Here's what bothers me, and this is why I'm endeared to Trump. I told you a couple of shows ago. Now I'm a Trump guy. You know why? Because I can put myself in his place. I can't put myself in an establishment 40+ year politician who's been saying the same thing over and over. That's why I didn't do well, sir. I can't say the same thing over and over again. But here's what bothers me. If you tell me, okay, you can get sick, give me the tools that I need. You don't got to tell me I got to wear a mask. Okay, if you wear a mask, it's cool. This is what reduces it.
No. See, that's
don't
the whole
start
thing.
Floating stuff about shutting the businesses down.
That's where we messed up at. I thought the messaging, and when I heard when we were, I think it was maybe early first week of March, and I was on a trip, and we heard the message about the masks are not necessary, X, Y, and Z. I said in the car, that can't be true because the medical professionals are wearing masks. At the moment they said it, I said it can't be true because the medical folks that are treating these people, they're wearing masks, and they wouldn't wear the mask if they didn't work. But let's accept that for what it is. What Biden is talking about is not kind of sort of maybe we do some stuff. He's saying, hey, let's really do these things that we hope will give us the best chance to make this work. Wear a mask, not kind of wear if you like it or if it matches your outfit or if everybody else is wearing it, but just wear a mask because this is the best way we can do individually to help control and curtail the virus.
So let me help you answer your question that you always come back to. Why so many people, Trump helped the Republican Party reach people that they couldn't reach. Trump was saying something that we like to hear. So why do you think we had 150 million people vote and then Trump got half of those? Because there are people who we want charge of our own lives. I don't need no guy telling me don't tell me anything. Tell me there's something going out there. That's your responsibility. Make the tools available and then give me the choice if I'm going to do it. It's a disease with a 94% survival rate.
Right. So here's my thought about that is there is no downside, really. There really is none.
To what?
And I know the psychology of, hey, we have liberty and freedom and whatnot. But there really is nothing that medically hurts people wearing a mask. They may be absolutely dead wrong that masks do not work. But if you don't wear a mask, we know that doesn't work. We know that won't do anything to help.
What's the survival rate?
Of the like 99.99. I mean, it's
okay. So you're telling me I need to inconvenience myself for a 99%. You don't have that kind of return on money.
I'm with you. And you're right about that. It's just that for those people that it does affect.
No, it's for people who feel they need to control someone's life.
And by now, everybody knows enough people where it's touched someone. And I agree with you. It is a hell of an inconvenience. When I set up at my desk, remember, I've got a mask. In fact, I've gone to like hanging a mask off my ear at the office to try to make sure I don't walk out without the mask, because when I go to the copier, I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about the next person that comes. I'm in my head anyway. I'm trying to think that's not fair to them. And if everybody starts walking around here without a mask on, it's going to be a petri dish. So anyway, let's put that aside. That's enough economists. A couple other things I want to hit on real quick is Joe Biden. Trying to watch him put together this cabinet.
Uh-huh.
A couple of things have emerged that I think they're interesting to me. One is he doesn't seem to be as far left as I thought he might come out the box, because he's overlooked Sanders, and so far he's left Elizabeth Warren out the picture and kind of said pretty much they're not factors. And surprisingly, they've not come out squawking about it. Their supporters are squawking a little bit, saying, hey, we want some representation. Some of the other folks, AOC and Omar and some of those folks have come out squawking, but they're bit players. They really, you got time to deal with them down the road. But I was surprised. I thought he'd go further left out the box. What are your thoughts about that?
You know what I'm gonna say? I'm gonna do just what I always say that Democrats do. Joe Biden's picked a bunch of old white people to put in office. He's going back to politics as usual. He's looking over these young guys coming out. Now, we don't need any AOCs in that squad. We don't need them because guess what? They cause so many problems. We like politics to be what it used to be. Just us who've been here for 50 years, we know what you need. So let's go back to why Warren and Sanders may not be squawking. The same reason why Bernie Sanders just went away after he knew that they stole that election from him with Hillary. Why do you think he went away so quietly? His supporters didn't, but he did. The same thing, the system is rigged. Bernie has a payoff in other ways that we won't ever find out. You don't run and get that kind of support and lose and just go back. There's a reason why he did that. He's already taken care of. So is Elizabeth Warren. But I believe the same reason Nancy Pelosi lost those seats, her days are numbered, and I believe AOC is going to be the one to take her down.
Well, I thought she had no one really challenged her to win the speakership back this time. It was much more contentious last time, I thought. But I'm really trying to get a feel for Biden's leadership position. Where is he going to position? And it seems that he's positioning himself more to the center than I expected. The most liberal thing he pointed was John Kerry, I thought, for this whole new kind of climate control environment position that he created. I thought there'd be a hard move to the left in his administration, and it hasn't seemed to materialize.
Hold that thought for a minute, Clint. I want to read this comment from the chat. It says, "Why won't politicians promote healthy eating? Why don't they talk about how processed meat is in the same category as smoking cigarettes? We know that having a strong immune system is your best chance at preventing all diseases, including COVID-19. But they refuse to promote growing your own produce, taking natural herbs. It's all about money. These people don't care about us. What do you say about that?"
There is a certain level of capitalism that has infiltrated all politics. And where you have big industry with lobbyists, it is often very, very difficult to redirect stuff. A good example would be during the Obama administration, Michelle Obama comes in and says, "Hey, listen, since we control lunches at schools, why not make those lunches healthier?" And there was immense pushback from the food industry across the board saying, hey, get out the way. We're making a lot of money over there. Get out the way. You saw this with the same thing with Oprah when she, made some comments about beef, and she's been a lawsuit that was pretty, pretty drawn out, lawsuit. But a lot of this stuff, I hate to say it, under all that happens in America is capitalism, and that capitalist thing pushes itself through. So it's going to be very difficult, I think, for politicians to do things without appreciating the capitalist side. And you say, well, why do you say that? Well, listen, the biggest pushback we're getting about anything related to COVID is economics, and that's capitalism. That's money. If you're going to do that, that's going to affect money. Well, you can't do that, affect money. Let's shift that. When you talk about environment, going solar, other stuff. Well, no, you can't do that because what? Money. You're going to put people out of jobs. You're going to shut down the coal industry. You're going to shut down the gas industry. Everywhere you go, you find it's money. The last, for example, why don't we have a cure for diabetes? Of course, there's a lot of money in treating diabetes. You don't think so? Go back and research how much money was spent treating things like polio and some other incurable disease that really, really affected people. So underneath all of the things in America is a specter of capitalism, and anything in America, I'm going to write a book on this one day, anything in America can be turned profitable. And I think that's the main reason you don't get these things changed. And that's why when you have a guy come in like an Obama who says, hey, I'm going to change all these things, everybody goes, yeah, right, brother. Capitalism is going to correct that. You have a guy come in like Trump. Now, he did it different. Trump sought to use capitalism as his change agent. He sought to use the businesses to use them to push whatever things. For example, monetize the boarding. Hey, we're gonna build some walls. You guys get some bids in here. We're gonna build this thing up. Not only thing, same thing with military though. We're gonna build up military. Hey, let's get some contracts out here. Which surprised me that he never pushed the infrastructure bill. That looked like low-hanging fruit that could have really, he's left that, kind of like Obama left judges. He's left low-hanging fruit with the infrastructure for Biden. But that's really my take on why I don't think you have this catalyst to go in and do something like that about meat and some of the other stuff. And that is really because there's just so much money to be made in it. What are your thoughts about that comment?
I can tie that back into Biden because that's what we were talking about. He didn't go left. He stayed back center, as a matter of fact. And that was what the initial fear was when he was doing the primary, when his numbers weren't great. Only until he hit South Carolina did he get that boost, right? It's because the fear was he's too centrist, and you had too many people on the left saying we need to do something really different here. Well, the reason why I think the danger of the center is it's all about establishment. It's all about politics as usual. It's all about, like the comment says, that Big Pharma is one of the largest donors to politicians. Well, then you wonder why things don't get right medically. Well, because they're donating to the politicians to either push a bill or to just say it, to act like we're pushing the bill, but you never get it done. I thought it was really interesting that Tulsi Gabbard just fought with the MORE Act, just got that bill passed to decriminalize marijuana. And on one hand, I agree with it because African Americans have suffered disproportionately as far as sentencing, targeting, all kinds of stuff, getting jobs. That's an after effect, once you've had the charge. So now she's saying, okay, not only are we going to legalize it, but then let's expunge the records of those who've had it. That's going to be a huge undertaking. Just imagine people who didn't get a job, who've already lost a job, who've already been painted a certain way, who've had to leave their profession because they made a bad decision or whatever it was. But that's what you get when you have a Joe Biden, someone that's been there for 47 years. He's going to bring the people around him that plays the game that people railed against and what brought in a President Trump. Now you just went back to the old system and people claim they don't like the old system. Oh, well, systemic racism.
But I mean, and I agree with you. I don't think the system is going to be changing much anytime soon. Not what it is. You got this would require such a revolution that's incomprehensible from America to change our system, because end of the day, capitalism will just monetize that. You go and do a protest. Capitalism says go print some shirts and go print some signs and go sell them. Everything gets turned into t-shirts. Yeah, everything gets turned into capitalism. Oh, there's going to be a protest? Well, you go sell security to the stores, to stand out for. Capitalism turns everything and monetizes it to a certain extent. Here's what I think what gets me, though, is you mentioned it slightly, is the Republican Party rises and falls on the black vote. It cannot win without the black vote. Are the Democrats playing around with the black vote a little too much by not giving more prominent positions in this cabinet?
I think that's you've characterized that. Are they playing around with it? The Democrat Party has shown it's taking the black vote for granted. You're going to be with him regardless. Joe Biden showed his true color. You ain't black if you don't vote for him, and you're going to get what you've always got.
But like Hillary found out, we'll stay home on you, and 4 years comes quick.
Hey, you think they found out, but then Joe Biden comes to make these type of statements. They didn't find out. They're showing you what they truly think about black people. And here's why. Let me finish this statement.
Go ahead.
Here is why they can do that. Because they have so many illegals coming in. And guess what they tell the illegals? Same thing they told African Americans years ago. We're the only ones that's helping you out. Look, those people don't even like you. They want to put you on the plantation. Come over here. We're the only ones helping you out. So guess what? Guess how many illegal immigrants now that they have when blacks don't show up to the polls? So come on. That's what this is about.
I thought this election here, in this election here, Republicans did the best they've done with minorities, Hispanics.
Not Republicans, Donald Trump.
So without Donald Trump, where does the party go, though?
I just said the party loses without Donald Trump. I didn't misspeak when I said that. The Republican Party is going to lose bigly without Trump. Yes, let's coin some terms.
I fully accept there are things in our system that don't work well. but they are what you have. Like, I've never liked the fact that there's 7 days in a week. I've never liked that. It's odd. It screws up the calendar. You know, you can't balance your week out. You only get 2 days on the weekend. I've always promoted that we need a 10-day week. We get a 10-day week. You get 5 days to work. You get 5 days. But nobody likes that idea. Nobody won't pick it up. They think I'm crazy if I'm talking about it. I think some of that's what we accept in our politics. But listen, Professor, it's going to be pretty raucous in Atlanta over the next month or so. What are your final projections and for a closeout? We need to get out of here.
I mean, we're looking to January, and it's almost a month away. I think that the Republicans pull it off. I think the fact that Donald Trump goes there.
No way.
He's going to show why he's Donald Trump.
I predict civil war breaks out in the Republican Party.
I don't care if it breaks out. Matter of fact, I think Kemp needs to go. But Donald Trump has proved you guys wrong every time. You don't get 10 million more votes.
Not on November 3rd, he didn't. He didn't prove anybody wrong.
Yes, he did. Yes, you guys cheated. There's no dispute about was there cheating. What we're disputing is widespread. But let me say this on the way out, because everything we talk about, you and I go back and forth on this. Malcolm Muggeridge, his saying is prophetic. The devolution of man, while the most empirically notable, is the most intellectually resistant. So we talk about what we do, kill children, blah, blah, blah. But then we come back and resist that America is that bad. America is just that bad.
Well, we're going to get back on the air next week. We're going to fix some of that badness. Listen, everybody, appreciate you tuning in this week. You've been listening to Straight Up the Middle on In-Text News Radio, reality radio where everybody can be a star. Please stick around for The Sole Purpose, which comes on this studio channel at 11 o'clock. I'll see you back here next week, Professor. Have a good week.
Radio anywhere on your phone.
I'm listening to right now, man.
In your car.
I'll keep that going.
On your computer. It's a new world, baby, and we are global. In Touch Radio.
We're playing your favorite old school. Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
The Storks are bringing me a baby brother. We can do this together.
All right, let's go.
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't. Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No.
Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this.
You will rock this.
To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan. We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
How to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
The most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you know what time it is.
Grab some lunch and let's talk business with Cheryl Cuso every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m.
This is how it should be done.
Listen in on In Touch Radio.
The Storks are bringing me a baby brother. We can do this together.
All right, let's go.
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't. Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No.
Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this.
You will rock this.
To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan. We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
How to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
The most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.